Welcome to Entrepreneurs, Executives, and Eccentrics, a podcast dedicated to the stories, strategies, and secrets of remarkable individuals. Join us as we engage in enlightening conversations with intriguing entrepreneurs, accomplished executives, and fascinating eccentrics, exploring their journeys, triumphs, and the unconventional wisdom that has shaped their success. In this episode, we sit down with Brian Hamilton, a serial entrepreneur, best known for founding Sageworks and co-creating Inmates to Entrepreneurs. We talk about how he turned complex financial data into plain language, why he's dedicated decades to helping people start businesses after prison, and what he's building now at LiveSwitch. Along the way, we explored his views on AI, private equity, and the future of small business in America.
Hello, Brian. Tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is Brian Hamilton, and I am a perpetual startup entrepreneur for the most part, among other things. I'm a dad too.
It's interesting when you've had I think you're this rarefied entrepreneurial air in that you've done this for a minute, but you've also heard a bazillion ideas. You've also been the receiver of those ideas, and this is wrong, that is wrong. You're kind of uniquely suited for this type of. You're the perfect person I could talk to about this type of thing. Do you want to kind of go, let's kind of talk about Sageworks and how you started over, in Durham and kind of how this all kind of came together?
Yeah. So the idea was to take complex financial information, data, numbers, and convert those to plain language. And I won't get into all of it, it'd bore you to death, but I had seen this over and over again to that point in my life where you had very, very intelligent people who were running companies. And they would get these balance sheets and these income statements, so on and so forth, but they didn't really know how to read them quickly. And more importantly, not just know what's going on in the company financially. Hey, what do I do? Tell me how to make my business better financially. And I'll never forget, there's a really brilliant guy, he's a PhD in cancer research. He's a CEO of a pharmaceutical CRO. And I was his sort of part-time CFO. A brilliant dude. And he walks into my office one day, it was 1997, he goes, hey, can you make sense of these financial numbers? And that was the light bulb moment. I was like, wow, I've heard this over and over again. So Sarah Torval and I developed an expert system technology that takes all this complex number stuff through algorithms. I guess it's early AI, it really is. I know more about this than I care to admit. And then convert it to plain language for people. So that's the genesis of Sageworks. We started in 1998 and we sold in 2018, but that's the start of it.
So you could dump in on one side a balance sheet or a P&L or whatever, and then this thing can kind of deconstruct it a bit and in plain language say, well, it sure looks you're losing money, or it sure looks like your liabilities are a lot higher than they were the year before, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, roughly that's about it. Yeah. And again, importantly too, this is like super boring stuff, but basically you don't want to be giving the guy the same advice every time. So hey, go make more money. It's got to talk about the changes from last period. And also, hey, what can I do to improve my profitability? What can I do to improve my company? So that product called Profit Sense is still out there. It's apparently used all over the place, and it was a big success. It took 10 years though to get it there.
Yep. So you have a pretty big hit, a pretty big base hit. Because I feel like I think you sold Sageworks off to something.
KKR, yeah.
And then you kind of focus in. I think as humans, once our Maslows are taken care of, we're like, okay, like how can we kind of add value in the world? And this is like philanthropy. The beginning of philanthropy kind of started with you. You want to talk about kind of that?
Yeah, I do.
That kind of journey.
Hey, by the way, I appreciate the airtime on this. So 32 years ago, I started an organization called Inmates to Entrepreneurs with Reverend Robert C. Harris. 32 years ago. And this was before Sageworks. And basically, I loved being around Rev, and he would do the Bible thumping at the different prisons, that type of thing. And I followed him. And I met one guy, we'll never forget this. And during a break, when Rev was doing his ministry work, during a break, guy's got the orange jumpsuit, the whole 9 yards. I said, hey, what are you going to do when you get out of prison? And he goes, oh, I'm going to go get a job. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, that might be hard. You got a record. And that was the inception of the Inmates to Entrepreneurs idea. That was 1992, believe it or not. And so that's been the labor of love, the nonprofit thing. But I want to answer your question. I've been doing that thing for 30 years, man. But what happened was when I sold the company in 2018, I thought I was going to be the nonprofit guy going around and dispensing wisdom. But I don't know, man. It felt like I wasn't in the game. You know what I mean? I wasn't building a company or building. So about 2 years after that, I thought again, I was going to be full-time nonprofit, and I'm still on the board and all that other stuff. But about 2 years in, I'm like, man, I missed the game. My kids are out of the house. They're gainfully employed. They seem to like me. They come to the house once in a while. They're doing fine. I got all the energy in the world. Let me start something new. And that's how I got back on this journey of Live Switch, which is what I'm doing now. And it's been quite a ride for the last 4 years.
So let's talk about that for a moment. That was a Canadian company, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
And then you I'm assuming you had, as you do, right? You probably had someone gave you a demo or someone pulled you aside and said, Brian, you got to check this out. Yeah, how did that exactly work? Out of curiosity.
Oh my God. We went on a worldwide search, Scott. No kidding. We called. We're not venture capital people. I can't stand venture capital people. I'm an entrepreneur. I create, you know. So we called 5,000 companies, and I happened on this dude, Jared Venom, comes out of Vancouver, and he had an outfit over there doing professional services with a video SDK. And it was peanut butter and jelly because that was a professional service company. But he was thinking, hey, how do I scale the business? And he knew that I did so much stuff with products. So I met Jared, and it just happened. And a great dude, a great partner. And but you know, we're back in. We're tiny. We're only 70 employees, and you know, I'm doing it again. So you know, it's fun.
So what's the business model here? What is the business model of that organization?
Okay, so we right now we are on a video right now, right? And you are housed, and I don't know if I can say Riverside, I just said it, but we're on a Riverside application. That application is built from a video SDK, like kind of like from the electrons up, you know, the stuff underneath it. We own the stuff underneath it. But what we're doing now, which is working really great, is we're building specific applications at Live Switch, like Live Switch Contact, Live Switch Concierge. We're building our own applications, and we're selling direct into small businesses. So that's kind of, and what I really am passionate about, if you want to talk about it, maybe, you know, I don't know if this is of interest, but what's happened, you think about our lives, man. I mean, 100 years ago, about 50% of the people in the U.S. had their own business. Non-farm, by the way, non-farm. They had their own business, 50%. About 50 years ago, maybe 30. Today, we're at 9% of people own businesses. You've got incredible pressure from big box retailers. You got the private equity guys rolling up tech companies. So at Live Switch, we want to technology enable the small guy. Let's make an equal playing field by giving them the tools that they want. But it's not just bullshit advertising. It's like real. Like it's very in my heart of what I've done for 30 years. You know, we need more small business formation in this country, Scott. You look at every disadvantaged group. I don't know you. It's nice to get to know you, but maybe your grandfather or your great grandfather, whatever, came from another country. Every disadvantaged group in our history has turned to entrepreneurship, running your own small business to get out of the hole. And we're losing that in this country, and it's very dangerous. So that's what we're trying to do at Live Switch, which is technology power these small guys.
Yeah, it's my father.
That's by the way, that's my commercial. That's my one commercial.
my dad called it the immigrant work ethic.
Yes.
Right. It was you came here, you don't want to go back. You're scared of death, actually, of going back. It's actually a death sentence in some cases, depending on where you're being sent back or could be sent back. So the only way forward through the Irish, the Germans, the Italians,
yes.
the Mexicans, the South Americans, the Russians, everybody, whatever wave they were on, they came here with zero opportunity. Yes. Now they were either preyed upon by their own group, right, or preyed upon by someone else, or they put their own flag in the ground and yes. They started that salami shop, or they started that sawmill, or they started that whatever, and they pulled their money together from their other immigrant people that they came over here with, and they made it happen, right?
Yes.
And it's right now I kind of
that
see
is the Scott. I mean, we could talk about this for 5 hours, I don't get into too much, but Scott, that is literally the only way out. Now, it just so happens through Inmates to Entrepreneurs and maybe because of my network, I deal with these people called minorities. They're non-white people, black people, whatever. And I'm constantly, and that's why I'm so passionate, because like in I2E, for example, we have a lot of representation across all racial groups, that type of thing. How do we get the black folks? How do we get the minorities? How do we get the women out of the hole? We got to become entrepreneurs. You see, the system, the big companies and government, both of them, they're not set up to do what you just said. They're not set up to help I hate saying small people, but they're not set up to help people form businesses and to do that. And boy, we need to do that. And it's going away. Like if you're in LA maybe?
No, I'm in Florida.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, you're in Florida. But you're in Florida, okay. If we go out and start a business right now in your town, right, where you live, or in Raleigh, Durham, where I live, right? If we go out and what is the chance that we're going to be successful opening up our own office supply store in a town? Like, you got Office Max, you got Office Depot. There's tremendous downward pressure on entrepreneurship. So whether it was your grandfather or great grandfather, for me, it was my grandfather. We got the people coming here. We've got people who are already here who are disenfranchised. We got to get them running businesses.
Yeah, I bet this is interesting. You're kind of singularly able to answer this. In that Inmates Entrepreneurs program that you started, what has been the thing that they always gravitate toward to that's probably not the right direction? Right? Meaning they're like, oh yeah, let's go start this business or that business. And you're like, no, that's already kind of done. Go do this. Like, what's been the most successful and the least successful kind of ideas you've seen?
Wow, that's good. Don't think I've been asked that. Let me process that. It's a great question. This is the most successful small businesses are the ones you can start with very little capital, less than $500, where you got hands. Hopefully we don't all have them, but you got hands and you can do the work. You can paint a wall, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, those businesses succeed. So we're trying to empower those types of businesses, not tech businesses, And so if you can do something that other people either they don't want to do it, right? Like I had a guy up in Charlotte, he's a pooper scooper business. Apparently that's become an industry. It's crazy. But 10 years ago, he started a pooper scooper bit, hey, we'll go around to your yard and pick up your dog's poop once a month or whatever. Tremendously successful. He worked at Walmart and he made another $80,000 a year picking up poop. And so, hey, not glamorous, but it's a great way to make extra income. So do something that people don't want to do, pick up dog poop, right? Or do something where you've got a skilled trade and you will make money. You'll print
the intersection of can't and won't, right? The intersection of like either can't do or won't do.
That's correct.
Interesting. Okay, so what is
By
that?
the way,
That
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. I got to get it in. I got to get it in. Just let me say just one thing. Like I thought you were going in a different way. What are the people, if they come out of prison or they're judicially involved or whatever, Scott, what do they do wrong? They hang out with the go nowhere people. My father, I won't give you my whole background, but I'm not from a lot of money, that type of stuff. But my dad never graduated from high school. He got his GED, but he was wise enough. He's like, hey man, you are who you hang out with. You are who you hang out with. So the mistake people make when they come back from prison is they go back to that crowd and that's so hard. You got to separate. So I thought that's where you were going with that. Good question.
Yeah, and it is because my dad also said you are the average who you hang out with, right? You'll become the good, better or worse, right? So if out of the 6 of the people you hang out with are in like a 9, you'll hopefully become an 8 or a 10, right? But if your average is like a 3, you will become a 3. It's just you'll be dragged down. There's lack of ideas, lack of greater understanding. It's all there.
When I was a kid, I just was so arrogant. I mean, what kind of a jerk, frankly. I always thought, hey, I could do anything I want to do and I'm my own man and all this other high testosterone stuff. No, you have to hang out with the right people because you're going to gravitate to the behaviors and attitudes of those people, which, by the way, for inmates to entrepreneurs, that's why we work a lot with mentors who are successful, people who have been in prison, they're successful entrepreneurs. Let's get around people who are going somewhere. So it's a huge part of our theme.
That's bad. Yeah, because I mean, if you're not around the people we would even never start a business, how would you even know where to go to start an S corp or what an S corp is? If it's, how would you ever understand how to go, register for this, register for that? You wouldn't even know where to start. Now, how to pay
Yeah.
taxes? When does that work? How does that? You wouldn't even know where to kind of formulate those kind of ideas. I mean, what are you gonna get? You can't bounce those off people who don't know or don't
Right.
understand. That's
Yeah. Well,
typically maybe the
yeah.
Elk
By the
Crow.
way, I gotta say this. I mean, so one of the reasons I do this is not just to shamelessly plug Live Switch, which I have to do. It's because there's so much misinformation out there around entrepreneurship education. It's extraordinary. Like if you and I went to a doctor, right? I mean, within a dynamic range, maybe he'll give you like 3 Tylenol and the other doctor gives you 2. It'd be pretty close. There's a lot of misinformation around starting a business. For example, you're never going to get a loan. You're never going to get a government grant. All these businesses that get started, Scott, very low capital, very modestly. And we've got these guys out there preaching about getting venture capital, and we got these guys from Shark Tank, and that's not how you build a company. So that's one of the reasons I like being on these things.
And not having revenue, by the way, will give you zero leverage. You will get
Yes.
absolutely screwed over by a very large. If you have something, they
Right.
will take it from you unless you've
Yeah.
actually got revenue or something to show, like a history of it. Actually, where I've seen it happen over and over again. And back, by the way, back to P just for a second. There's these roll-ups happening where they go buy plumbing companies, they buy
I know.
HVAC companies,
I
right?
know.
They're kind of destroying all the different spots. Where someone with a high school education can still make 200 grand a year. They're kind of
Yeah.
eating those alive. Man, I told my
Yeah.
son if he wants to
Well,
be a
you're getting
millionaire, go
me.
get a plumber's license and a
Yeah.
copy of QuickBooks.
Dude, you're getting me fired up, man. I didn't even know these guys got, and I just recently found this out because at Live Switch we're selling into those groups. Now they're doing roll-ups of plumbing. This is great. What a world we're going to have. You got one guy you can call in your local area as an HVAC contractor. What's that going to do with pricing? You know what I mean? So now these guys, these Wall Street guys are getting into the blue collar businesses and they're rolling them up. I mean, it's really dangerous.
I mean, they're also buying houses. Like, will my
Yeah,
son ever be able to afford a
I know.
starter home unless I help him with it? Because
Yeah.
starter homes are 400 grand in Florida right now. $400,000. Who the heck can afford that? Even when you're starting out. Great, you're a doctor. Doctors can't afford that in their first 5 years because they're still working, making 80 grand a year doing their deal. I don't know where this goes because that typically homes are the foundation of wealth, right? All those things kind of get piled on top of it, and that's how you retire at 50, 60, or whatever. I don't see that for my son's
Well, you
generation.
gotta, if you don't mind, let's slow roll this too, because it's good stuff. You gotta realize and by the way, I've got a finance background. Although I've always been a builder, but you gotta understand their game is not competition. Their game is a lack of competition, meaning they're gonna roll up the HVAC. Same thing. Look, I use Uber all the time. And I love that company, right? But you saw what happened with Uber. It used to be cheap. Now they put all the taxi drivers out of business, and now the prices are going up where the taxis were. That is the game plan of the Wall Street money people. They're not builders like entrepreneurs, right? They want to eliminate the competition. So we got to educate people to get out there and combat that. But boy, it's hard. If you don't mind, I've been studying this. Now the PE guys are out buying real estate, like just lots of real estate. So your son, by the way, my son's in their 20s. Now they got to compete against Wall Street money to buy a house. It's just bad, This is my kid Nolan. He's a great guy. He's getting his PhD in math, but he's like, he thinks he knows everything. Not to be, but I go, no, look, you're really smart, but you're lacking in one thing, wisdom, right? He's very anti-government and I'm like, look, man, look at these from a public policy perspective. If we don't have good legislators in there passing good laws to stem this pressure, then you're going to have one software company, you're going to have one landscaper in the country, and that is not good for competition, pricing, and consumers. So anyway, that's my soapbox.
Yeah, I've got opinions on the PhD thing. I worked at NASA for a couple of years. I'd be in a conference room full of double PhDs in plasma physics. By the way, is plastic physics. But
Right.
anyway, me with my like lowly liberal arts education, but I could actually communicate. right? I'm pretty autistic, but I broke through that. I could actually communicate with humans at a level they couldn't, and I could actually rise pretty quickly as a
Yeah.
result. It feels
Right.
like that, with the advent of AI and all these things that are kind of coming up, that ability to communicate will set you apart. That
Yeah.
PhD in math won't do shit for him unless he can describe his ideas in a clear and concise way to the consumers of what his ideas may and may not be.
Well, but now we get another track. Like, this has been the problem with the demise of a liberal arts education. Like at my last company, dude, yeah, sure, we hired engineers, we hired computer scientists, but I was always looking for people who have a broad education, who could communicate well. They could actually write a sentence that was grammatical. You know, those are the people that I was looking for because those people will rise up. And so it's communication, it's having the big picture in mind. So I am very pro liberal arts education. And as you know, that's kind of going away too.
It is. So, okay, so wait, with all that said, AI, where are you injecting, are you taking into effect, I mean, are you also developing those type of LLMs or AI, it's not really AI, it's LLMs, in your product right now?
Not today. By the way, just going back to my previous experience, I was a big cynic on the potential of AI about 10 years ago because I knew it. I mean, it's how I started my last company. I realize now it's rolling over everything. But what entrepreneurs do wrong is they think, okay, AI's hot, and therefore I'm going to start an AI company, and then I'm going to go find a problem. What I do is I invert that. I'm like, let me find a problem and then figure out whether AI can actually fix it. Now, as it turns out in our company, AI will help our customers, but I don't wake up every day, oh, I got to insert AI into my company. I try to take it from the customer's perspective. What's the problem they're having and then work back from that.
It does smell like blockchain, a solution looking for a problem. Right?
Yeah.
It smells exactly like blockchain. Like blockchain. Like, really, what are you going to do with that? What make it valuable? I bet you can't, right?
Yeah, I
And
know.
it's just been an AI just feels like they're trying to squash it, in every little nook and cranny of
Yeah.
every product development,
Hey,
team that's going on right now.
what's your take on something? I'd be curious. Like, so the whole idea that AI is going to knock out every job and we're all going to be robots and transhumans and what's your take on all that? Like, I can give you mine, but what's yours?
I'm pretty in the thick of it right now. I've got some fairly high profile company clients that I'm doing that stuff for, and I can tell you this. I can tell you that AI is what we're looking at right now is not AI. We're looking at something called LLM. The LLM is just predicting the next word, predicting the next sentence. It's literally it's an amazing parlor trick, and it can be useful. It can take large bodies of text, make kind of sense of it, and make it and do this thing, right? This general AI may not even happen in our lifetime. I was still this idea. Have you ever heard of the Turing test? The Turing
Yeah.
test was them at Alan Turing that,
Yeah.
like there'd be this wall and you could actually write down in English the question and it would be answered. And then they wouldn't know they weren't speaking to another human to that wall, right? And then they bested that about a year or two ago. But did
Yeah.
they really? It's just a really great parlor trick. Look, you're still
Yeah.
going to have to communicate. The software developers I know have had jobs, they're productive. Microsoft, Google, they are out of work right now, right?
Really?
They're out of work. It is because you don't need 12 people on your team. You need two.
Yeah.
You need two
I
really
gotta
good
be
people on your
honest, man.
team.
Wow, we could really go around on this one, but I was so immersed in this 25 years ago. I kind of checked out of the hotel at Sageworks. I was like, the AI stuff, forget it. Let's go make money. Let's go build applications. But I really don't know how it's going to affect jobs yet. The only thing I can say is the last century or maybe 2 centuries ago, whenever during the Industrial Revolution, you had incredible progress on people making equipment that the Reaper, blah, blah, blah. And guys like Marx said, hey, this is going to basically lead to a permanent class of underemployed people. And what we learned was that didn't happen because what happened was these companies would make money, but they'd use that capital to go form other companies or do other things and create more jobs. So I don't think AI is the end of the world. I don't think it's the end of employment. And of course, nobody can predict it, but that's my opinion.
Calculators didn't make math obsolete. Okay. It's just
Yes.
simply going to make it more efficient. I've got friends in the entrepreneur space who have been retired for a little bit and who's now coding again because AI makes him a master coder. He was kind of he was an okay coder. Now with the advent of AI, he is a kick-ass world-class coder. He's doing some really
Really?
fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's just enabling people. It's like, I love to paint, but Jesus, I hate mixing paints. Okay, well, that's done. Right. Well, I'm a musician, but Jesus, I hate, making sure
Right.
everything is in the key of C sharp,
It's
whatever. It's
tone.
just
Yeah. Tune.
it's just
Yeah.
making things a lot easier. Hey,
Right.
I hate making data transfer objects. Well, guess what? AI will just easily it will just go destroy all those really annoying work and software development that's not fun. It'll just go do for you. And that's what I'm finding is
Man,
it's a tool for
I
leverage.
should actually know this, man. I don't know, like but so sounds so naive, but you're saying that AI is now used for software programming.
Right now, I can put on my Google Buds right now, and I can pull up Visual Studio with Copilot. I can actually, while I'm developing software, say, hey Copilot, go create a function that I don't know wires up the
Yeah.
Facebook API for me.
Wow.
Just keep
Wow.
going, and then bloop, there it is. Drag it right in, and now I literally can talk. I've just got to add my key,
It's
and I'm
amazing.
talking to Facebook API, which would have taken me a day to go do manually.
That's amazing. Yeah, that
You know,
is.
and
Yeah.
that's kind of where I kind of see my software company maybe going is that training of developers to kind of meld the AI and human together in a way where you're slowly just, one person is now working like 12 people.
Yeah.
Too, by the way. Like, go write like 50 unit tests for me. Awesome. I hate writing unit tests.
Right.
No one wants to do that shit. It's awful, right? And now AI will do it for you.
I should be into this more than I am. I don't know, but I'm just so busy. But you got to realize my first product at Sageworks, Profit Sense, literally had algorithms and all this funky stuff to convert numbers into language. Right. I am I'm not like an expert, but I know more than the average dude probably. I'm really curious, like, how does this stuff work? Like I think what they did is like throw a bunch of data in a room. They threw it in there and then like taught it something or somehow some early algorithm or something to make the conclusions from that data. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't. I have a coworker that is really explained it really well, and I'm not even gonna not try to butcher it, right? But ultimately, there was a paper put out about 4 years ago called "Attention is All You Need" by some of the engineers at Google. We
Right.
could do all the things you're seeing. We could do 10 years ago, but it would take 6 months to get a
Yeah,
result. We could
I
already
get
do
it.
this like 10 years ago. But
That's
this
right.
this this paper, attention all you need, somehow allowed for this to
Yes.
happen in a tenth of a
Smart.
second, right? Making it useful.
Smart.
Before it wasn't useful, right?
Smart.
And now it can be done on a
Yeah,
much smaller CPU, and now it can be done on a much smaller model, and all these
that's right.
things.
I was
It
on
all
a
happened in the last
yeah.
3 or 4 years.
I was on a show with, Mark Cuban about 3 years ago. He's not very nice guy, and he was talking about
Sorry to hear.
AI, and I'm like, I know a lot about this. I'm like, because the computing power wasn't there to take all that data, but now it is. So, I was wrong, and so as to how that affects the whole world, I don't know that one yet, but yeah, we'll use it at Live Switch, but we're going to use it to solve a real problem, not because we want to be the cool kids with AI.
Wait, the way I would use it on your product is I would actually use it as an AI note taker. I would voice print the right way I know who's talking. Brian says this, Scott says that. I would then go very accurately go transcribe, and I would summarize each paragraph with a single sentence, making this entire conversation able to be read in less than a minute because he said, but it's now summarized in a way that's valuable. What are the takeaways? What are this? What are that?
Right.
That's what I would do, and that could probably be wired up in a week, honestly. It's not a difficult task, go do that,
And then
then
you
go
would
add
have
that as a
you'd have
beta.
different prompts for different things you want it to do or whatever. Once you get the data into that transcription or that data set, all this stuff is basically then you can ask it different things through different prompts and stuff like that. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I can't tell you with who, but we're definitely doing some interesting pharma type AI stuff that's very, very it's like a 7 billion record database type thing.
Wow.
You're like, you don't even, it's just so much data you can't wrap. I couldn't wrap I mean, I was at Disney, a million years ago, and the idea of having a billion records really would blow my mind. That we have a million records. I'm like, wow, look at this million record
Yeah.
databases or serve. We spent 125 grand on to go make happen. Now we're doing 7 billion. I don't even, it's a new world.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. That's cool. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so where do you I mean, are you right now, obviously it's this is your main kind of focus,
Yes.
right? Do you just kind of see yourself creating forever?
Well, here's the thing, man. You're down at I keep thinking you're from LA, but you're from Florida. I mean, I'm not a golfer. It's just too I mean, I appreciate it, and a lot of people play. Man, it's so slow. So, I'm at the age now where I'm too old to be young and too young to be old, meaning, like, I can't see myself hanging out, man. I can't do it, and that's the other thing too, is like when you get a liquidity event, you check your phone and at the bank and then you refresh, and whoa, all of a sudden you get all this money and you make money for hanging out. Did you know that? Like you invest something and it's making money. I mean, I, that's antithetical to me, meaning I always had to work for money, right? So now I make money by hanging out. But my point is that's not fulfilling for me. I gotta be in the grind, in the fight, like that. Being an entrepreneur, you're in the boxing match, right? You're actually throwing the punches. The punches are hitting you sometimes. I gotta do that. That's sort of what I'm wired to do.
I mean, are you not a travel guy? Do you not want to be somewhere in Provence
I
for
hate
3
it.
months a year?
I
Really?
hate dude,
What?
dude, I hate it. I don't know what happened to me. I have one, well, I won't talk about all my habits, but I'll talk about one. I love to fish, and great fishing in Florida, as you know. I love to fish, but I'm not good at travel. I get bored. I'm like, I don't wanna go climb up a mountain, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if something's happened to me over the last 30 years, but I a little bit, but if I go to, like, I go with my son, like, to France or, I've gone to, Israel twice, which is my favorite trip. That's a little different because there's history there and I can go check things out. But no, you put me on the Mediterranean in southern France. You might as well just shoot me, dude. I don't
Yeah.
like it. It's
Yeah, no,
just not
if I could spend 3 or 4 months a year in like a Provence or like or Normandy, I because I'm a wine guy, definitely kind of the exploration guy. But I do understand because I recognize a little bit of the ADHD in you. You're a
yeah,
little tiny bit on the spectrum. You're probably aware
yeah,
of it. I
yeah,
know that I'm very on the
yeah.
spectrum. I've just kind of had to. I just adulted through it. I just kind of
Hey,
muscled through it, and
can I make a plug for something? You
yeah,
said Normandy. Have you gone to the beaches at Normandy yet?
yeah, of course, yeah,
Wow.
it's
I
amazing.
I get can't see them, but I get goose pimples. When you look out over Omaha Beach or whatever, and people don't realize it. The Germans were up high, right? And you got these machine gun turrets. To
Yeah.
think of those kids going up that beach, man, I'm telling you, I get emotional thinking about it. You've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Can you imagine? Like, wow, like
'Cause I mean, did you go through the whole museum there?
yeah, yeah,
You know how they literally
yeah,
built an entire
yeah.
city so these boats could have a place to land during storms, and it happened in like 3 days. Like, it was just absolutely bonkers, and meanwhile, you've got Rommel, whose wife was, his wife's birthday, I think, that evening, so he was out of town, right? And
Um,
somehow I think the Allies knew that,
yeah.
or and we just started land. It's just an amazing story.
You know the
It really
crazy
is.
thing too, Scott, so I don't know if you probably know this, but when you go down there, like I think the Canadians were north and then the US and it was divided up. We were on Omaha and whatever beach. But when you go there, there's still the metal infrastructure for the landing, like you know what I'm talking about? Like the
Yeah, those
metal.
boxes are still out there. They're still out there.
Yeah, so
The caissons. They're called
people are like
caissons. They're
hanging out
still
for
out
like
there.
sunbathing and I'm like, wow, yeah, bizarre, right?
So my wife is Belgium. Her father was actually liberated by the Canadians at a place called Ostend Beach in Belgium, and he was like 8 or 9 years old, sneaking under the wire, stealing
Yeah,
Nazi food So, like,
Wow.
he stole so much stuff from them and
Yeah,
donated it back to the museum that her whole family could still go to museum for free, and
that's
that's how much
funny.
stuff he stole from the
Wow,
Nazis during
that's funny.
too. Like a little badass. He's a little 8 or 9-year-old just stealing food, whatever he possibly could. He stole guns, he stole Panzerfaust, he found all this stuff,
That's funny.
and he's tough as nails, and, you know, he just recently died. He's fantastic human, because I just cannot imagine my, like,
Yeah.
8 or 9-year-old son crawling under barbed wire to steal fruit from the SS.
Yeah, have you ever do you ever
Holy
f not feel guilty, but do you ever if you have any historical context, right, our lives are so easy. Oh my god. Compared to, like, being born around the Civil War or World War II or the Depression,
yeah,
like, it really was the greatest generation. I mean, they like, we're such wimps, like, oh my goodness, like
comparatively. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I've got a tail gunner, I guess he was my great uncle, a tail gunner, who they never found him. He got, wasted over, in the North Sea in one of those fortresses, and that was it. They never found his he's listed on the on one of the call rosters, whatever, as a
Right.
tail gunner, but I just can't, no, I can't imagine it. Like my dad's generation, like getting called to Korea,
I
right?
know.
You know, and
I
or I
know.
just or Vietnam. My God, Vietnam, that went on for a very long time.
Yeah.
50,000 American young men lost their lives on that war. People
Yeah.
forget.
I remember there was, do we have time, by the way? We doing okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I remember when I was at Sacred Heart University, early '80s, there was this guy, he was a security guard. Sacred Heart was a commuting college, and it was kind of I went to Duke for graduate school, but Sacred Heart undergrad, and what a difference. But there was this cat who and we were kinda jerks, we called him Spaz. He was, he had been in the Vietnam War, but he had his leather jacket on, the guns, and it's a small little community college, and we being young, jerky guys, we kinda made fun of him. I pull him aside one night, though, it was, like, late at night, and I said, "Mr. Johnson," whatever his name was, I said, "Hey, were you in Vietnam?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." We have this conversation. I mean, oh my god, you realize what a jerk you are when you're young. This guy had 3 of his best buddies get their heads blown off. So the reason he was so hyper and he was still dealing, Scott, with that
Trauma.
trauma and
Yeah.
drama, and it really changed me, and I obviously never goofed on him again, but it's
How old are you? What is your age?
61.
So I'm 51, and I'm scared to death of that generation. That generation will flip you on your back and beat you to death.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah,
not careful, they are not scared, and
no,
they're not unwilling to get into combat like
no.
that.
Well, especially the guys who were in combat,
Yeah.
and like you, I've known a number of them, and what I've noticed is, of course, they don't talk about their experience too much, but they either become super chill and like, "Hey, this can't be nowhere near as bad as what I went through," or they're a little on edge, and yeah, that's what my experience has been.
Yeah, I've got an uncle that never really recovered, that was in, and I've noticed that people that talk about it didn't really do it. The people who don't talk it really did it, and
Yeah,
they don't wanna talk about it. They just don't. I mean, I was in the Pentagon during Gulf II, so I've definitely met a bunch of those young men and young men coming out still had sand, like, on their fatigues kinda thing. They don't wanna talk about it. They don't wanna talk about it. They were in it, they don't talk about it, they just wanna move the hell on. It's a
yeah,
tough situation,
yeah.
and
It's
I thank
it's
God that I didn't have to go through that. Oh my god, you imagine being drafted into that?
it's real, and you probably rise to the occasion, but it's funny. Empathy is really hard to have, almost impossible, but to be the other person. I'll give you. It's such a. I don't like mentioning this in line with what we're talking about because it seems trivial, right? I have a farm. I'm out here looking at my farm, and I had this goat. He was on my TV show, French Fry. He died yesterday, and I mean, it seems silly, but, it's a goat, but my God, the goat's part of my family. But I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, that's to me a big deal, like that. He was kind of part of my family. He was a big for 10 years, but it's a goat. Can you imagine going to war with your buddies? And I mean, oh man, I just, wow. And as you know, when they shipped these guys over, they shipped them as part of town groups. Like they were fighting hand to hand with people from their towns. So I just cannot believe that generation and what they went through. And then you're right, they had to go through Korea too. But you know, you always want to think you would rise to it, but You know, I had a lot of uncles that had done that, and they're a different class of people. You're right.
Yeah, I lost a ton of my dad's side, whether it was to Korea, Vietnam, any time that basically poor people were called to active duty. Not that town in Multi, Georgia was the first they would get banged on. And they
Right.
just cleared out the men there, cleared them out. But and here we are. I mean, one day our sons may be called to do the same thing. Jesus,
Yeah, I hope
God
not.
helping.
I
It's
mean, I
not. Let's
really
hope
hope
not.
not. Think about it, Scott, of 250 years of American experience, we haven't, since Vietnam, I mean, we had some things obviously that happened, Afghanistan and Iraq and all that, but we haven't had any large scale wars. And I'm like, we're one of the few generations, we've just gotten lucky. So
Yeah,
hope,
we're in a real like a middle period. It feels like there's strife on the horizon.
I
We've kind
hope
of
not.
Russia's last gasp, China's last gap. China demographically speaking won't be around in 10 years. Russia should have started having kids 30 years ago. Germany's all out of kids in their 20s. Like there's a demographic shift happening right now that's going to systemically change the world in the next 10 years, maybe five.
You know the problem with the wars, man? They come out of nowhere. Like it seems okay. I mean, there's strife in the world, right? But all of a sudden, one little match or something gets lit, and then now you got this country against that country or whatever. And I'm like, I hope these politicians know what the hell they're doing because war is not a good thing.
They don't have any memory of it is the problem. Enough time has passed, and then everybody's forgotten the horrors of it, and it kind of repeats on and on and on. One was supposed to be the end of everything, and just ask Belgians, it was not the end of everything. It was kind of just the
Yeah,
beginning.
and the problem too is, I mean, you know all this, but in the problem in the day, like FDR's sons went to war. Abraham Lincoln's son went to war. We got these congressmen and senators up there, man. They're not sending their kids; they're sending our kids or other people's kids, and that's the problem. There ought to be a law in this country that you don't even get a vote unless your family is going to be sent to that war. So but we've been lucky the last 40 years or so, roughly.
We have. Brian, we're out of time. Thank you so much for doing this, man. I could talk to you for another hour, but I've got another back-to-back today is kind of bonkers.
No.
I will add the links to all of your projects to the bottom of this episode.
Okay.
It'll be on Spotify, it'll be on Apple, on and on. And thank you very much for doing this. And you are infinitely interesting.
Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it. Hey, tell my kids that.
Excellent. I'll talk to you soon.